Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and this is my firing line for October 15th, 2024. And I'm sorry if some of you got some mixed signals when I was trying to get things set up. For whatever reason, when I first started to sign into my StreamYard account, by the way, this is my son's dog who is jumping up here to say hi. This is Rosie, and they can't really see you. Anyway, it recognized me as a guest essentially, and I couldn't allow myself into the stream, so I had to stop the thing, go back in, set it up again. Now hopefully I am here as myself, and I know we got some people in here already. We've got 3 Jeep Discovery, we've got Fuki YouTube or Fuki T. I'm sure there's a different way to pronounce that. We've got All's at Full, and fortunately you don't have to worry about your girlfriend today because hopefully she is wide awake right now and doesn't have to worry about being awakened to hearing me. Big Shug is here, and Rookie Spartan. Thanks to everyone who's joining so far. This is a special edition of HR's Firing Line, excuse me, because I am coming to you today from my son's home in Clayton, North Carolina, which is just a little southeast of Raleigh. So this part of the state did not experience nearly the devastation or really any of the devastation that the western part of North Carolina got a week or so ago. But I am down here this week giving them a hand with some things. And I thought while I was here, I had some time on my hands and not a lot going on, I would fire up things and have a live stream. So thanks again to everyone for joining. This is going to be completely driven, as I said earlier, by you, your questions and your comments. I really don't have anything put together today. I guess I do have a little bit of channel information on some upcoming things. Tomorrow there is going to be the normal Wednesday premiere video at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So for anyone that can make it to that, I should be there, and we'll have the normal chat and everything else. That's going to be an optic review, by the way. This coming Saturday, I've got an ammunition test that I have been looking forward to doing for a while. I'm testing some more legacy ammunition, which is ammunition we all carried back in the day. And it's kind of fun to bring that stuff back out and try it out, especially see how it stacks up against some more modern offerings from the ammunition companies. So that's coming up on Saturday. Now, since I'm sitting in North Carolina right now, I don't know just exactly what next week's programming is going to look like. There's probably a good chance that there won't be a Wednesday video. Hopefully I'll be able to be back in time to get some things put together for a Saturday video, but just keep that in mind. Everything's kind of fluid right now as far as things are going to be going. We are coming up on one of my favorite holidays, that is Halloween. I always enjoy that. And the reason I like Halloween is because Halloween is just fun. It's just people throwing sheets over their heads and just saying boo and dressing up in costumes and parties and one thing and another. We don't get into quite the level of stress, if you will, that we do with some of the bigger holidays around Thanksgiving time and Christmas time, and all of the family get-togethers and going out gift shopping and all of that. So Halloween is sort of like the last chance to just kind of have fun and enjoy ourselves before we get into that more intense time of the year. So that's probably my biggest reason I like Halloween. Plus I like the old time scary movies and things like that. Halloween costume review. I'll have to show you guys a picture. I don't have one that I can flash up here, but I do have a Halloween costume, and it's not something any of you would ever expect me to wear. It's probably something I'll never wear again. Mimi talked me into it. But it's pretty funny. So I will get a photo of that coming up at some point in the future. Oh, and looking down through some of the other comments here, see if I missed anything, and I don't think so. We've got 21 of you in here already. Hopefully those numbers will climb. Trying to think if there's anything else, firearms and ammunition news-wise. Oh, yes, there is. I have got some firearms supposedly coming in the end of this month for testing. These are going to be some new models. I don't think they've got a lot of publicity yet, so that's going to be fun. It's always exciting to get new firearms in, and especially to be among the first to be able to test those out. So probably around the end of this month, the beginning of November, or something like that, you should start seeing some information coming out on those. Scott from South Carolina, love to see the kids getting dressed up. So do I. I just, like I said, I just enjoy this time of year. It's just fun. I like trick-or-treating, not going trick-or-treating so much these days, but actually passing out candy and all that. So it's just a lot of fun this time of year. Big Shug, the more the aged folks, kids nowadays love those Halloween Pokemon cards. That most drugstores, better option than candy for sure. I don't know about that. I have a pretty strong sweet tooth, and I think there's probably a lot of kids out there that still enjoy getting the candy. Their dentists probably don't enjoy it as much, or maybe they do. Maybe that just ensures they're going to have business coming. So there is that. All's a full. I hope one is a Centurion 14. Have to wait and see. If you guys are trying to be the cool house for the Pokemon cards. It's okay, HR, you're never too old for trick-or-treating. Yeah, maybe I could just like sort of walk up on my knees or something like that in a costume and hold up a bag and get some candy. Ken, new viewer, great channel. Really enjoyed the 700 series. Thank you. And that 700 just made another appearance. Or has it yet? Maybe it hasn't. I guess tomorrow that 700 is going to be back in the premiere video tomorrow. So you have a chance to see it again starting at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be back up for everyone to see. Winchester 73 picked up a Cimarron coach gun in 12 gauge last week. Exposed hammers, lots of fun. Cool. Those coach guns are fun. I guess I'm to the point with a lot of firearms where I've got enough firearms to meet the needs that I have. So a lot of the firearms I'm getting nowadays are those that, for whatever reason or another, either interested to me when I was younger, and there's a lot of those, the older, cool firearms from back in the day, or that are just a little unusual. That North American Arms mini revolver that I've been working with, and you've seen in a few videos here lately, was kind of like that. It was just cool. It was something different. It was cool, and I enjoyed working with it. And there were some comments that came in from different people about, oh, why are you using that? Who wants to see that? Because it's fun. It's just it's fun. It's a little different. It's not the run-of-the-mill plastic frame striker fire semi-auto pistol or whatever. It's just something a little different. So I enjoy those. I like having a variety. Scott from South Carolina had trick-or-treaters the last 2 years. Trunk-or-treats are popular. That's actually what we're going to be participating in Massillon, Ohio. We're going to be at the trunk-or-treat there. And I'm trying to remember what day that is. I'm not sure, but if you Google Massillon, Ohio trunk-or-treat 2024, it'll probably come up. And if you come out there, you'll get a chance to see me in my costume. You might not recognize me. That's how unusual it's going to be. Three Jeep Discovery, is that NAA revolver in your boot? No, I had to fly down here. I flew down yesterday, so I had to go through TSA and all that. So I was not able to bring a firearm with me. That doesn't mean I don't have one. It just means I had to borrow one for my son. But it's enough of a hassle to try to fly with a firearm that I just don't want to go through that. And it's always kind of annoying. That's why I generally tend to prefer driving. But this time around, we were in a little bit of a time crunch, so I flew down. And actually had a great flight. It was one of the more laid back experiences I've had with an airport, with an airline, and actually flying for quite a while. And part of the reason I love to fly. I love being on the plane and flying and all of that. But it has become such a hassle post 9/11 to get through security, to comply with all the airline regulations and everything else, and having to deal with delays and one thing and another, that I'm to the point where I try to avoid it, even though I enjoy doing it. And yesterday, flying out of the Akron, Ohio, it's actually Akron Canton Airport, which is a small airport. It was really nice. I got there, I breezed through TSA. There were like two people in front of me in the TSA line, went right through. Everyone from TSA was extremely polite, very professional, got through there, got to my gate, flew out. The flight was only about an hour, no muss, no fuss. Flew down here on Breeze Airlines, which, if you have the opportunity, I would recommend. They're a small airline, but they are just very professional, very economical. Their fares are good, so I had a good experience for a change, and that's nice. Art Grote is here. How you doing, Art? And Mark Becker. What are you guys talking about? A hippie? Who's a hippie? Okay. Somebody looked it up. The trunk or treat in Massillon, Ohio is October 24th. So if you make it out there, we will be there. Mimi and I and other people will be passing out all of the treats to the little trunk or treaters at that event. Mark Becker or HR Funk is probably on. I'm probably on a list, all right. It's probably one you don't want to be on. Rich Powers, no problem whatsoever. Glad you made it. You're not really late. We're just getting a good start here. I kicked things off about 12 minutes ago, I guess. So you haven't missed a whole lot. Just sort of the opening commentary and just sort of getting things set for the rest of the show. Big Shug. Yes, probably we are all on one list or another. Yeah, I know Massillon, Ohio is going to be out of the question, I'm sure, for a lot of you. But if you're somewhere in the area and you have time, swing in by and say hi. It's interesting being in North Carolina at this time of the year because it still feels like late summer, or what I'm used to as late summer here. You can't see outside anywhere, but the sun's shining outside. It's nice. It's relatively warm. Whereas back at home, the leaves were all changing and it's getting cooler and cooler and cooler. And it's just always a little bit different experience. Not as odd as being down here or down in South Carolina at Christmas time. That one's really odd. We were down in South Carolina one time walking on the beach on New Year's Day, and it was, I don't know, probably in the mid to high 60s or something like that. And I'm thinking, this is just strange. I am not accustomed to this kind of thing. It's supposed to be much colder that time of year. Isn't Massillon by Canton? Actually, it's it's just west of Canton. You know what? I am sorry. I told you all something wrong. I had Massillon on the brain. This is what happens when I fly and I'm all discombobulated. We're going to be in Barberton, Ohio, which is just west of Akron, Ohio, for trunk or treat there. Sorry about that. And here I thought I was doing so well, but no, sorry. Barberton, Ohio, for trunk or treat, just west of Akron, Ohio. That's where we're going to be, not Massillon. Massillon is where we go to a comedy club, and apparently I had that comedy club floating around in my mind. And let me see, I missed some comments back here. What's your favorite Halloween movie? Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. That's really hard for me to say, so I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to give you a couple of them. One of my favorites, one of the ones I watch every year because I just love it, is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It makes me laugh. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen those gags. It's a fun movie. It's one of the old black and white movies, and I really like those older black and white movies from back when I was a kid, the ones that would kind of scare me back when I was, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. So I like that one. I like the original Wolfman, not the one they made a few years ago. No. The original one with Lon Chaney Jr., very cool. Coming forward a few more years, getting into kind of the sci-fi era, I like John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, I'm a child of the 80s, so some of those 80s movies, like the original Halloween, also by John Carpenter, with Jamie Lee Curtis, who I was in lust with back as a young teenager. But those are fun. So that's probably more than one favorite, but I really love a lot of the scary movies. Not so much the ones these days. The ones that are really the psycho thriller, evil spirit type ones that they're making nowadays, I don't like as much. I like those older black and white monster movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, all those kind of things. The Blob, those ones from the 1950s, those are more the ones that I enjoy. And sorry, Texas Toast, I am not ignoring you. I saw that you made a $5 donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for making that donation and your comment. Totally stole one of my ideas for your channel on a totally different topic, building guitars. But thank you. I hope that worked out well. Which one did you use for guitars? I'm not sure which one of my ideas would transfer over, but I hope it worked well. Marv Turner, imagine how the Southern boy reacted to winter in Columbus, Ohio. It's funny because I can relate to that. When I went into the Marine Corps, when I left Cleveland, Ohio on April the 12th of 1995, April that year was still winter. It was cold in Cleveland. Lake Erie was still frozen over. And I remember flying out of Cleveland Airport on my way to, I guess they flew us into the Charleston Airport in South Carolina. And I had never been to South Carolina before in my life, had no idea what to expect. So I'm wearing my heavy winter coat. I'm wearing my blue jeans. I probably had a sweatshirt or something on underneath that. Flew down, got off the plane in South Carolina. And of course it was like, 70 degrees or something like that. And probably landed around 7 o'clock in the evening. And there was a truck there that picked us up. And there were some Marines in that truck. There were 3 or 4 of us that had flown in. They put us on the truck and they took us to a bus station somewhere. Got on the bus. We stopped and picked up more people that were coming in. And of course, those of you who have gone through this know the drill. There are people coming in on buses, people coming in on trains, people coming in every place. So the bus stops and picks up all these other people that are going to Parris Island. And when you get to Parris Island, it is something like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. They always bring you in the middle of the night. The bus makes several laps around Parris Island because they don't really want you to know how to get off. And I didn't know until the day we graduated and I left Parris Island. I didn't know for sure where the main gate was. I thought I knew, and it turned out that I was right, but until I actually left on the day we graduated, I didn't know for sure where it was. Anyway, so finally we get off the bus. It's 2 a.m. They take us into the receiving barracks. The drill instructor is yelling at everybody and all that kind of thing. And they're going through the ritual of getting people situated and assigning them to a training series, to a platoon, doing basic issue of different things. We got our hair cut, all that kind of thing. So finally, now we're still all wearing our civilian clothes. We haven't gotten out of that stuff yet. And they took us outside and it's starting to get warm out. It's getting toward morning. And I'm still wearing my heavy winter coat. I'm wearing my sweatshirt or whatever was underneath it. I'm wearing my jeans and I'm sweating my brains out because I'm used to Ohio winter. I'm not used to it being 70, 75 degrees or whatever, and especially dressed as warmly as I was. So now they're taking us somewhere, and finally we ended up putting our clothes we had worn down there into storage. And then there's this whole ritual about everybody taking showers and all that kind of thing. But sooner or later, after walking around naked for probably a couple of hours, we ended up getting uniforms issued to us and all that kind of thing. And I was at least a little closer to being comfortable temperature wise, but that was probably the only way that I was starting to become a little bit more comfortable. And I was going to become a lot more uncomfortable in the weeks to follow. Anyway, all that to say, I have some appreciation for what you're talking about being from South Carolina and finding yourself in Columbus, Ohio. And now back here because I've been rambling for a while. Nightmare on Elm. I have that's another one that I've got saved on my Apple TV at home is Nightmare on Elm Street. Tactical Jackalope. In regards to your recent FOUL videos, DS Arms originally started building metric pattern receivers for the STG-58 kits. This was an Austrian version licensed by and built by Steyr. I think I knew that. I've been delving into the history of DS Arms a little bit. And Mark, the gentleman that I've mentioned a couple of times in the videos, who forwarded me that rifle to be able to review, is a wealth of information on the company's history, the rifle's history. I'm hopefully going to be able to attend an armorer's course on the FOUL that they're going to be doing in 2025 at Brownells. That's going to be in the spring sometime, like around April or something like that. But I'm really hoping to get that there. The more I learn about this rifle, the more interesting I think it becomes. And I want to be able to actually have the knowledge of an armorer when it comes to working on it, disassembling it, reassembling it, repairing it, and all that. So I'll have more information on that as it gets closer. Marv Turner likes the A&C movies. Chris 1911, that was your favorite movie. I think it's my favorite movie from them too. I really enjoy that one. Ernest Scared Stupid. I'd kind of completely forgotten about that movie. 3 Jeep Discovery almost got a job in Oberlin, Ohio. I haven't been in Oberlin forever. Lived there, definitely swing by Barberton. Prince of Darkness. Ooh, there's a good. I just watched that not too long ago, and I said a while back that I don't like the really supernatural evil spirit kind of ones, but that one was good. That's a well done movie. That's another John Carpenter movie. Jamie Lee Curtis equals Rachel. No. Jamie Lee Curtis was a fantasy from my childhood that long since has faded away. Night of the Living Dead, another good movie. Although I always kind of liked Dawn of the Dead a little bit better than I liked Night of the Living Dead. Give me Dracula and Frankenstein movies from the 50s. Absolutely. The old, remember the Christopher Lee vampire movies, which were basically all the same movie. They just gave it a different title and changed the story a little bit, but it was always Christopher Lee chasing the vampires or Christopher Lee as the vampire or whatever. Another good one, it's a very, very 1980s movie, but the, oh man, I just had it, it left me. Fright Night. Great movie from the 1980s that I always enjoy watching. Scott from South Carolina still has 3 brothers in Cleveland. I think we are getting less snow these days than we did when I was a kid. I can remember back in the 1970s, we would have just mountains of snow, and we've not had a winter like that for a while. And if that's a result of global warming, I'm not going to complain that much. Daryl says same in Sandy. Okay, talking about the ritual of going into the Marine Corps, I take it. Yeah, and I remember talking to Marines who had gone through San Diego and hearing a lot of the very similar things. The Marine Corps doesn't ever really change too much, so I wouldn't expect the experience to be a whole lot different. Barberton, Ohio's annual trick-or-treating event will take place Saturday, October 26th. From 5 to 7. Okay, so that's the right one. Not Massillon, Barberton, October 26th from 5 to 7. Thank you. Mark Becker, I hope to be coming there. If I make it to that armorer's course, like I said, it's going to be at Brownells. It'll be kind of fun to see Brownells, if nothing else. So I'm looking forward to that. I will keep you all informed. Tactical Jackalope, thoughts on a 21 Sharp, Winchester's new rimfire nobody asked for. I don't know anything about it other than I just saw something, so I know it exists. I don't have any opinions one way or the other. As I learn something about it, hopefully I'll be able to say something in the future, but I just don't know anything right now, at least about that. Interview with a Vampire. Not a bad movie. Kind of a different role for Tom Cruise in that one, and also for Brad Pitt. That's an enjoyable movie. It's worth watching. Yeah. Phantasm was scary, but I never understood it. I saw that movie, but it has been so many years ago that I don't remember a thing about it. Hellraiser. I was never a huge Hellraiser fan. I know a lot of people really like those movies, particularly the first one. Just I don't know. That one just never did anything for me. Craig Benz has an opinion on that new 21 Sharp cartridge. Kolchak the Night Stalker. I loved that show. I thought it was fabulous. I think that was only on for one season, but man, what a great show that was back in the day. Marv Turner, for me, Bela Lugosi is Dracula. I gotta say, I love the old black and white 1930, is it 1931 with Bela Lugosi? Love that movie. Love Bela Lugosi in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. But Bram Stoker's Dracula from what was that, 1991, with trying to think the actor's name that played Dracula. He was also in the Harry Potter movies. Oh man, his name won't come to me. But anyway, I really enjoy that movie, and part of the reason I enjoy it is because it's so much closer to the novel Dracula, which I'm a huge fan of the book, the actual story, and that is so much closer to it. And Anthony Hopkins playing Abraham Van Helsing, he owned that character. When I read the book now, I see Anthony Hopkins as Abraham Van Helsing in the book. He did such a good job on that, and everybody else did just a great job in that one too. So I love the well, I say the original, the old one from back in the 1930s, but I also really like Bram Stoker's Dracula because they just did a great job with that. Gary Oldman, yes, that's the name I couldn't think of. And by the way, I'm zooming through the comments here. If I miss a comment, I apologize. When they start getting fast and furious in here, sometimes it gets easy to miss one. So if I miss your comment, feel free to put it back up there again. That's okay. Vampires with James Woods. I don't think I ever saw that. Maybe Hop can make silver bullets. Stay tuned for some silver bullets coming soon. Winchester 73. Remember when I was a kid, our town had trick or treat for 3 nights. I think some towns still do. And the town where I spent the bulk of my law enforcement career did not have a citywide trick or treat. It was not sponsored by the city. And there's a long story going back to somebody putting a razor blade in a candy bar in the 1960s or whatever. So the individual neighborhoods would have their own trick or treat. The city just didn't sponsor it. So it wasn't uncommon for this neighborhood to have trick or treat one night, this neighborhood to have it a different night, a different neighborhood to have it a different night. So people would take their kids to all these different neighborhoods. So yeah, the kids would get to trick or treat, sometimes 3 times, 4 times, all during the same Halloween season. Terry Barnes, good afternoon to you, and Bill 1717, thanks for joining. Forbidden Planet from 56 is pretty creepy. It's been a long time since I saw it. That's the one that that introduced Robbie the Robot, as I remember. I need to go back and watch that. It's been way too long since I saw it. Also, The Day the Earth Stood Still, another great sci-fi movie for this time of year. That one I have seen more. And again, I'm talking about the old one from the 1950s, not the one that they did back, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And Oh, what is the one? Is it Earth versus Mars or Invaders from Mars? The one from the 1950s that had those really cool spaceships that had sort of the eye type thing that came out of the top of them. Oh, what was that called? I don't think it was Invasion from Mars. Somebody help me out with the title of that. I can't remember. Marv Turner never saw the 1991 Dracula. Do yourself a favor, watch that movie. It's got Keanu Reeves playing the part of Jonathan Harker. He does a good job. It's got trying to think of the actress name that played Mina Harker. She was also just in the new Beetlejuice movie. She was in the original Beetlejuice movie. Winona Ryder plays Mina Harker. Oh man, it's got a great cast. They do a great job. So do yourself a favor and watch that movie. War of the Worlds. I could not think of that to save my life. Thank you. Mark Becker bought a Bergara B14 6.5 Creedmoor. Love it. You should do a review. I would like to review a Bergara rifle. I never have, and everything I know about them is very positive. So if I get the chance, I will. Loves Dogs 1954. Hey, glad you made it. Loves Dogs 1954. The Day the Earth Stood Still, and this just jumped. Said it while typing. Michael Renee. Yeah, that great old movie. The Exorcist and The Omen. I don't know if I ever saw The Omen. I've seen The Exorcist a couple of times. For me, once you've seen that once, you know everything that's coming, so it doesn't do much for me to watch it again. But not a bad movie. Invasion of the Body Snatcher is another good one. Dan the Wolfman, how are you doing? Gary Oldman's first 60-ish pages of Dracula is great. Then switch to Mina. Something that amazes me about that, though? That was all written by Bram Stoker. And he's got male characters, he's got female characters. And if you've never read the book, it's told in the form of diaries and papers written by the various characters, and in some cases newspaper articles and one thing and another. So in all, particularly the diary entries, when he's writing as the female characters, he's writing as a female. So this was a man writing the part of a woman. There's no way I could do that. I could not put down on paper or try to communicate like a woman would and be able to do it effectively. I would just sound like an idiot. It goes to the brilliance of those authors. And Mary Shelley did the same thing in Frankenstein, although she had some help from her husband and a family friend who were both males. But there are female characters, there are male characters, and most of it is told from the perspective of male characters who she would have been writing, and she did a fabulous job with that. So there was something about the authors from those days and their tremendous skill that I don't think really exists nowadays. Anonymous F, dang, razor blade in a candy bar, freaking out. Yeah, that sometimes think people are worse these days. But then I think we're probably always psychos. Yeah, news does travel faster now. Yeah, you don't have to look too difficultly. You don't have to look too hard into history to see evidence of all that kind of thing going way back. Young Frankenstein, that's another one of my favorite ones. I love that movie. I have not seen that yet this year. That's usually one of the ones that I watch every year. Little Shop of Horrors. That's another one. I saw that once. I don't remember a whole lot about it other than Steve Martin was in it. But that's one that I don't watch all that often. Silver Bullet. Is that the one where the woman turns into the werewolf? The newscast or news reporter turns into the werewolf at the very end of the movie, as she's doing a newscast. No, no. Silver Bullet was the Stephen King novel. I don't think that was the same one. I'm thinking of something else. Signs was pretty scary. I think I saw Signs. Is that the one where they're doing the crop circles and all that kind of thing? Another good one that's a ghost story is The Sixth Sense. Uh, that's one of the few movies that I've ever watched where I got to the end and I really was surprised by the ending. And if you've never seen the movie, I'm not going to go any farther than that because I don't want to ruin it for you. There was only one other movie that I remember that I got to the end and it was just blew me away. It was a movie from back in the 1980s with Kevin Costner called No Way Out. It was a spy story, and that was another one. When I got to the end, I thought, oh man, I cannot believe, I never saw that coming. That was my same reaction when I got to the end of The Sixth Sense. American Werewolf in London, love that movie. Great movie. Dan the Wolfman just painted a front sight sparkly orange on a brand new Charter Arms model, making it out on Thursday. Good. Good for you. Sergeant Hulka's Big Toe, Nosferatu, great, great classic silent film. And they're coming out with a new version of that. In fact, it might be out now. I'm not sure. And I'm afraid to watch it. That's one of those where there are some movies that I wish they would just not screw with. And that's one. Make a new movie, call it something else, change the story a little bit, whatever. You can use elements from the one that you're trying to replicate, I guess. But don't try to remake a really classic movie. When they remade True Grit, which has now been at least 10 years ago, if not more, I didn't watch that movie for a long time because I was afraid that I wasn't going to like it. The original with John Wayne. How do you redo John Wayne? How do you imitate that or improve on that? You just can't. Don't do it. Leave the movie alone. Make your own movie, make a new movie, and make a good movie. Finally, somebody said, oh, I really liked it. I really liked it. You got to watch. So I watched the new version of True Grit. No, I didn't like it. It wasn't the movie. There's no way you can watch it without constantly comparing it to the original. And no, I didn't like it. The Howling. That's the one where she turns into the werewolf at the very end. Life Force. That is a good movie. That's more of a sci-fi movie, but it's a good one. Patrick Stewart. I've not seen that for a long time, and I should rewatch that. Skip Boyer, did you get the railed upper for the foul? Not yet, but I want to. I just wrapped that series up. Let's see, today is Tuesday. It must have been a week ago this past Friday that I finished recording what you saw, and you guys all saw it, I think, last Saturday. And of course, I'm down here in North Carolina now, so I want to get that railed top cover. I want to get that optic and give that a try, but I haven't done it yet. Anonymous F. Remember Elvira loved her. Yep. I do remember her. The Outer Limits. Oh, yeah. Skip Boyer, excited to see the accuracy potential of that rifle. Me too. I really want to see what it can do with an optic attached. And I was pretty darn impressed shooting it with the iron sights. American Werewolf in Scotland. I was in Scotland last year, but not an American Werewolf there. I'll have to take Dan the Wolfman the next time we go to Scotland. Then we'll actually have an American Werewolf in London or in Scotland. Hollywood hasn't had an original idea in decades. Yeah, that's unfortunately true. I did kind of enjoy the new Beetlejuice movie. We went and saw that a couple of weeks ago, and I used to love going to the movies. Loved it. Couldn't wait to go see the next movie. But these days, with the movies they're churning out, I don't go very often. And we went a couple of weeks ago and saw the new Beetlejuice movie. Michael Keaton does a great job again. It's fun seeing him back in that role. There are some odd things about the movie, but it's at least entertaining. I enjoyed it, so I was able to sit there, eat a bucket of popcorn, and laugh at the jokes and just enjoy the movie. So, for whatever my recommendation is worth, the new Beetlejuice movie is worth seeing. There's a sequel coming to Michael Mann's Heat. I don't know how they could do that one. Local show Goulardi, yes, the precursor to Big Chuck and Little John and Houlihan and Big Chuck. For all of you in the Cleveland area, you'll remember those warmly, I think. I always loved them all. Last movie you saw in the theater was Gran Torino. Well, if you're going to see one, that's a good one to see. Night Gallery with Rod Serling, great old TV show. When I was a kid, I should not have been watching that at the age that I was, but I was watching it anyway. And that was the one where you go to sleep and you're scared to death because of any sound you hear, wind blows, whatever, can't sleep. Twilight Zone, oh yes. Did you get to watch Masters of the Air? I did not get to see that yet, so no, unfortunately. Mark Becker, foul better than the PTR 91? To me, it was. Having shot the PTR 91, shot the foul, I like the foul better. And it's been so long since I shot the PTR 91, I can't really tell you why that is. I would have to go back and watch my review video. But I just remember I got done with that when I was kind of lukewarm with it. The foul, I felt much better after shooting. Bill 1717, they keep closing movie The Housed. You lost me there. Too many folks watching streaming. Loved going to the movies. Yeah, I loved going to the movie. I still do love going to the theater with the big screen and the super surround sound and all that, and my giant bucket of popcorn and all that kind of thing. And Mimi there with me. The only thing is, like I said, just the movies aren't that great. That's what I don't like. And it costs an arm and a leg. When we went to see Beetlejuice the other day, for two of us to see the movie, we got one bucket of popcorn to share, and I think we each got a medium drink. And it came to like $45 or something like that. It was kind of insane. And that's just what you pay to go to the movies these days. Skip Boyer, are you keeping the foul, if at all possible? Mike Handshoe, anyone see the new Canik MC9L? Yeah, there were like about 17 different YouTubers that all released a video on that at exactly the same time today. So that tells me that was dictated by Canik or Janish or whatever we want to call them today. Whenever you see that, that's what happens. People get advanced copies of firearms that are going to be introduced on a certain day. I'm sure Canik introduced that firearm today, so everybody gets them several weeks in advance so they can get their videos done, get everything ready, and then they all release them at the same time to correspond with the announcement from the factory that they're launching a new product. Every reviewer on YouTube is supposed to be almost every reviewer on YouTube. I know of one for certain that didn't post one. Anonymous F used to get scared at night watching World War II documentaries on the Nazis concentration camp. Yeah, that's terrifying in a whole different way. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. This goes back to the early 1990s. There was a special on, and I remember it was hosted by Bill Bixby. You guys remember him? And it was about Elvis, and it was looking at whether or not Elvis was still alive or not. And Bill Bixby and Elvis had apparently been friends back in the 1960s, 1970s. So Bill Bixby is hosting this thing, and they're doing this real dramatic movie. And I was watching this with a young boy who at the time was probably, I don't know, 8, 9, something like that. And they're doing this real dramatic. Did Elvis really die on such and such a day? Dun dun dun. And so we got all done watching this movie or this documentary, and the child that I was with that was watching the movie was afraid to go to sleep because he was afraid Elvis was going to come and get him. This whole thing is frightening him. By the way, this is Rosie again. Say hi to everyone, Rose. Oh, nope, not going to say. Okay, jump down. But anyway, that was just kind of funny that he was afraid Elvis was coming to get him. Tactical Jackalope, if you haven't seen Mr. In Between, you really missed out. Fantastic story about an Aussie hitman balancing family and work. Not saying that. Maybe take a look at that and check it out. Quit going to the movies when I quit advertising in the newspapers. That's been a while back. There's almost not any newspapers anymore. Mike Honchu, have that rival dark side SFT MC9. Each one is better than the last. I really like the rival dark side. I really like my Mete SF. I was kind of lukewarm to the MC9 that I tested a year or so ago, and there were some things about it that I didn't care for. But Canik definitely does put out some really good firearms. 10, 15, 24 the day of the MC9L. Are Tezos better quality than Rock Island? I don't know if Rock Island is using all forged parts or not. Tezos does. They have done away with all their MIM parts. I would say if so, then they are using higher quality parts than Rock Island. As to whether or not they're better, that's pretty subjective. I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions on that based on their own experiences with them. I like Tezos. I own one Rock Island. I don't know how many Tezos handguns at this point. Quite a few, a lot more than one. So take that for what it's worth. Dan's never been to Scotland. Recent movie on the president was good halfway through Ungentlemanly Warfare, which was well shot. I didn't see that one, and I would not have minded seeing it. It looked like a pretty decent movie. Skip Boyer had an optic issue. Gideon and Omega, they changed the software to have a 12-hour shut-off. It didn't reset it to shake awake either. Oh, that's too bad. They did it and didn't make a notification on the website. Mack Truck Huge, waiting for your MC9L. Who knows? If they have one at House of Pain when I get back, maybe I can get that and use it for a review. Well, at least they're going to replace that optic for you. Tactical Jackalope, Ralph Fiennes' portrayal as Amun Goeth was harrowing. And I take it that was in that movie we were just talking about. I'll have to take a look at that. It did look like a good movie. Anonymous F, AR-10, FN, FAL, pros and cons. For the AR-10, the first thing that comes to mind is just familiarity. I'm so inherently familiar with that system that it's like putting on an old pair of shoes or whatever, reciting a nursery rhyme you learned when you were a kid or something like that. It's just everything about it does what it's supposed to do. It's what you're used to. Um, with the AR-10 and the AR-15, it's easier to free float the barrel. So that gives it a little bit more accuracy potential. I think it's easier to accurize the AR platform than it is with the FAL. As far as just a reliable battle rifle, the FAL has that in spades. It's accurate enough. It's, at least in my experience so far, extremely reliable. And I would say that both the AR and the FAL are very reliable. With the AR, you don't have to worry about adjusting the gas system. That could be a plus or a minus depending on what you're doing. With the FAL, if you attach a silencer or something like that, you can adjust the gas system so that it's tuned properly for whatever type of shooting, whatever type of ammunition, if you're using subsonic or whatever to get reliable functioning. Where with the AR, you don't have the ability, unless you modify the system, to be able to give it some adjustment. So there's pros and cons either way. I don't really think there's a best there. I think there's probably a best for you and a best for the circumstances, but that's going to change from individual to individual and circumstance to circumstance. Laughing about Bill Bixby and the Elvis story. Shatner has the fountain of youth. Yeah, he does. How old is he now? 93, 94, something like that. And he's still on TV. He's still working. Mike Hanshew, there's been an Elvis sighting in northern Maine. Maybe just a fat guy with sideburns. Nope, it was probably him. He's probably hunting up there. The space alien has dropped him off. Skip Boyer, the Omega is built like the SRO. Super easy to pick up on the. It is super easy to pick up the dot. Good. Yeah, I hope they get that replaced and it gets to working for you. Tackle Jackalope, have you ever reviewed a Turcanelli? Yes, I have. The Military Armament Corporation Model 1014. I've got 2 or 3 videos up with that, and it's still running strong. So good shotgun. Chris 1911 is checking out. Thanks for joining, Chris. I appreciate you being here. Revolver Guy 38, what is your carry ammo for the 38 357? Depends a little bit on which one of those I'm carrying and what I'm doing. If I'm going strolling through the backwoods, I'm probably taking my 686 with 158 grain full power 357 magnums for whatever I might run into in the backwoods. If I'm carrying my Model 19 carry comp, then I'm probably running it with that Remington 125 grain mid-range 357 ammo that I showed in the review a couple of weeks ago, or the ammo test a couple of weeks ago. 38 special, again, it depends a little bit. In my light J frames, I'm running the 135 grain Spear Gold Dot that's made for short barrel revolvers. If I want just a good middle of the road 38 special, and I'm going to be running it in a 3 to 4 inch revolver, then I'm going to be using that lead semi-wide cutter hollow point that I reviewed or tested a couple of weeks ago. And if I just want something, maybe for whatever reason, I don't want a full power 357 in the woods, but I want just a good solid load for woods walking or whatever, that 158 grain lead hollow point plus P38 goes with me there too. Mac Truck Huge, love the X-Files TV show. You know what? I never watched that while it was in production, but later on it was on Netflix or something. I think I ended up watching the entire series on there. It was a pretty good show. Tactical Jackalope, Schindler's List. Okay. I don't know if I ever saw that. I don't think I did. I know it's a famous film. I know essentially what it's what the basis of the movie is, but I don't think I ever saw it. Wait, what? Oh, Dan the Wolfman is asking a question to somebody else. I was confused. I was looking about holding hands with an Elvis X, but looks like that's going to a different person. Any more water jug testing coming up? Saturday, Be sure to tune in Saturday. We got a good one coming up on that day. Tactical Jackalope, federal, always federal HST. You know what? I don't have any federal HST, and I wish I had some of that stuff. I remember testing it for the police department several years ago, and it did really well in the tests that I performed. The stuff expands like crazy. It penetrates well, and I don't have one single round of it these days to test. So hopefully I can get some of that stuff. All jarheads, what was the longest force march of your time on active duty? 17 miles for me, 1973 to 1976, Edson Range to ITS. I thought in boot camp we did a 20-mile force march, because when we finished ICT, we did a march back to Mainside. And of course, you can't walk 20 miles in a straight line on Parris Island. So we were doing laps around. And I thought we did 20 miles. Maybe I'm wrong. I know we did one when I was in Iwakuni also. That was a long force march, but I don't remember how far that was. And looks like, okay, so I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. Suplesse, triple lot. Glad you made it finally. Craig Ben, Schindler's List is worth your time to watch. Yeah, I know. That's one of those I need to watch. Force March through Bed Bath and Beyond. Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan is one of my favorite movies. Great movie. Wow, I think I'm caught up on the comments. I'm trying to, one just jumped up there. J.L. Robertus, The Wolfman, 1941 is my go-to black and white. There's something about that movie that I really like. And with a lot of the monster movies, the monsters just, for whatever reason, they're evil and they want to go out and eat people and do whatever. Dracula wants to suck people's blood and all that kind of stuff because he's a monster. The thing that strikes me about the Wolfman is Larry Talbot is this fun-loving guy. He goes back to England to visit his father, and if you've seen the movie, you know the whole story about why that is. He meets a woman in town. He's smitten by her. He's kind of trying to woo her, and he takes her to a carnival and does all this kind of thing. He's just wanting to have a good time and enjoy his life, and through no fault of his own, he's attacked by a werewolf and bitten, and then becomes a werewolf. And it's sort of agonizing or gut-wrenching to watch as he realizes that he is this monster that's harming people, and he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He's trying to keep from doing anything. He ends up being tied to a chair at one point, and different things to try to keep him from harming anyone. And I think that's the thing about that movie that really comes through with Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance. And then he repeats that in other movies in years to come, where he's this agonized soul while he's in his human form, wanting to keep from harming anyone and trying to have people stop him from doing any mayhem. But ultimately, the moon comes out when it's full, and he turns into a werewolf, and he can't help himself. The Thin Red Line, I saw that movie. That's another one I just don't remember anything about. It's too far back. Arsenic and Old Lace. We just watched that not all that long ago. Matt Lowry, how you doing, Matt? So you're thinking it was 10 miles? You might be right. Maybe it was 10 miles. Seemed like a long way at the time. I know that. At the Coast Guard, we walked to chow. That's kind of like the Air Force. They do that pretty much the same thing. Just kidding. All you guys in the Air Force, don't start sending me hate mail. All right, gang, we have arrived at the 1 hour point. I'll keep things going for a little bit longer. This has been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good conversation going here. So maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you've got any last minute questions, comments, or anything you want to throw out there, be sure to get that in. And we will wrap things up here in just a little bit. Ken, ever had an M14 EBR on the channel? Seems like you have a decent amount of M1, M1A, M14 can't talk all of a sudden, content. I don't think I've ever had a true EBR. I had a Fulton Armory rifle that was loaned to me by a Lovestock 1954 a while back. That was a, I guess I'll call it an enhanced M14 type rifle. Had a lot of rails on and things like that, but it wasn't the true EBR in the, what are those stocks called? Sage Defense, is that the name? Those stocks that have all the bells and whistles. It was just a more embellished version of the M1A or the M14. Band of Brothers is excellent. Yes, it is. A good series. Marv Turner, inexperienced with 7x57 rifles. I don't think I ever shot one. Trying to remember, because I know a lot of guys will shoot them at the national matches or shoot them in high-power competitions. I'm trying to remember if anybody ever loaned me one to shoot. And I don't think so. I don't think I ever did. Mike Hunt, you just bought a 7x57. Good for you. Gun Jesus is pretty hard on the M14. I don't know if you mean just he doesn't like it or he takes one out and handles it very roughly. You guys are getting the last minute comments into each other. Waiting for one to come up for me. But all right, it looks like we are winding down, so I'm going to start to wrap things up. Again, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the premiere video tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be an optic review. You're not going to want to miss that. This is going to be one that if you are in the market, particularly for a value-priced optic, this is going to be one you're going to want to see. On Saturday, we've got, and I'll just throw this out now because you might have said, oh, that's something I probably should let you know. I've got 2 videos set for premiere right now. Since I was coming down here to North Carolina, I wanted to set those before I left. So normally I don't set those more than 1 or maybe 2 days in advance. But if you got the premiere notice and you got the one for the scope review tomorrow and the one for the ammo test on Saturday, that's the reason they are so far into the future, because I had to set them before I came down here to North Carolina. So anyway, tomorrow morning, premiere video, chat, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We haven't changed to Standard Time yet. I'll be there, and hopefully a lot of you will be too. Saturday is going to be a really good video. I will not be there for that one. I've got something else going on Saturday, and I just won't be able to make it. So all of you watch the video and let me know your thoughts in the comment sections to that video. Anyway, thanks for all the conversation, all the interaction today. Thanks for 12 and a half years worth of support on the channel. To my channel members, thank you for that contribution you make every month. I've actually had a few videos be monetized here lately, so I have to probably check my blood pressure here and make sure that I'm not going to be overwhelmed by that. But on those times, like not too long ago, where YouTube was demonetizing everything that I put up, my channel members, you are all fantastic, and you help out more than you'll ever know. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining for the live stream. See you next time. And until then, good shooting and bye-bye for now.